Well, it's 5.
Well,
Um,
it's 3 on the West Coast.
That's right. How does your body feel about me saying it's 5?
Like, wait.
Not quite.
I'm not in the right place.
Yeah, something's up.
Yeah.
Mm. So I'll just keep an eye on if anyone else joins, um, and mute or remind them to mute themselves when they join. But let's just start with a dropping in body meditation together.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah. So if it feels right, you can close your eyes, but you're also welcome to keep them open but softly focused. And so as you do that, attention will give it permission to turn inward or downward, so that you might begin to notice things like the support underneath your body and the effect of gravity acting on the body, the sense of being grounded, part of the earth. And then feel yourself take up residence in the body. Be in the skin and muscles and bones, the organs. Feel the body's aliveness from within. Inhabit your body. You may become very aware of the sensations of breath as you settle down and in. You may become very aware of residues of tension from the day, and they're welcome. And then we invite you to listen throughout this very first sacred conversation. Listen from this bodied place. You might even go as deeply as you can into the body, say to the bone marrow, and feel yourself listening from the very marrow of your bones for what resonates and what rings true for you. You can take or leave any of it. The important thing is listening from your bones. And so as it feels right, stay with this deeply bodied sense, but bring the eyes open back into the awake conversation. And I realized I launched right into that without asking us to introduce ourselves. So, who are you?
Oh, well, now I feel like a much more embodied Denie Shae, but
Hmm.
I'm Denie Shae. And here I am. I'll just say just a little bit about me if you haven't met me yet. I live in Southern California. I own and operate a Ayurvedic yoga kind of self-care apothecary company, Giving Tree Essentials, where I do a lot with aromatics and I rest meditation and gentle yoga and some body therapies. And I'm co-collaborating with you at Sacred Earth and Sacred Earth Retreats.
Mm. Yum. And if you haven't met me, I'm Rachelle, and I'm in Texas. Denie Shae's in California, but local, non-local, doesn't matter,
What is space,
right?
anyways?
We're here and everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I'm a yoga therapist, and I love somatics. I just completed a master's in somatic depth psychology, so I'm also an IRES teacher like Denie Shae. So I work mostly one-on-one with clients, but I'm really passionate about us returning home to our bodies and constructing meaning from our lives. Very soulful, embodied human experience is what I want and what I'd love to help. Do love to help others construct for themselves.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, I'd love to come and see you in Texas.
It's going to happen.
Yes, I know.
So you're the one who came up with the topic for this talk. Tell us
I
about
did. I did. And I liked the idea that it was kind of like this question. And for me, it also felt there was a little bit of an explanation point to it. Like, what is up with his body? And I think that comes from just my background of being a very athletic child growing up and not doing a lot of team sports necessarily, but in a lot of sports. So I always felt very physical and gravitated toward things where I could do kinesthetic learning styles.
Mhm.
Um, most of the hobbies that I enjoy and the work that I'm doing, I find that I'm gravitating toward things that are involving my hands and being very active in my body. Maybe not necessarily sweating and like working out per se. Construction, nothing like that, but just very present and tactile and sensing and smelling and tasting and touching and what I feel is very embodied living.
Mhm.
So I thought, why not talk about it?
Loved it.
Yeah.
It reminds me actually of one of the quotes I wanted to share. So maybe I'll just jump into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you're saying about like being so tactile and having embodied hands-on kinesthetic experience. So this is from one of my favorite authors on the soma or somatics, but it's Thomas Hanna. And he's no longer living, but he for me is the first one who helped me understand like what I really want to mean when I say body. Like what's up with this body? Like, and he captures it with the word soma. And
Mm.
so this paragraph in his book for me really unpacked a lot of stuff when I read it a couple years ago. He says, Soma does not mean body. It means me, the bodily being. Body has for him, the connotation of a piece of meat, a slab of flesh laid out on the physiologist's work table, ready to be worked upon and used. Soma is living, expanding and contracting, accommodating and assimilating, drawing in energy, expelling energy. Soma is pulsing, flowing, squeezing, relaxing, flowing and alternating with fear and anger, hunger, and sensuality. Human somas are unique things which are belching, hiccuping, blinking, pulsing, throbbing, digesting. Somas are unique things which are yearning, hoping, suffering, tensing, cringing, doubting, despairing. Human somas convulse with laughter, with weeping, with orgasms. Somas are the kind of living, organic being which you are at this moment in this place where you are. Soma is everything that is you.
I love that middle bit where there's all these very colorful textural words and like it was just flooding in my body as you were saying it and how exciting it all is. It is
Right?
very alive.
To be a verb as a body instead of a noun
Oh,
or an object.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And it is really curious what he mentions about how the body can be very multifaceted, body versus soma.
Yeah.
Um, Calling it soma is kind of a new concept for me, but I think it sounds very like pranic and chi and energetic.
Alive, right? To me, it sounds
Yeah,
alive.
yeah, that's the aliveness of the body, I think, especially when we're talking about um, things like massage and hands-on therapy. You know, there is this understanding of the body as a structure and as
Mhm,
very mechanical structure and very earthy and made out of molecules and
mhm,
um, you know, these systems all working together, and it is very fascinating to take a microscope and be able to look in and see. But I
mhm,
think the most curious thing is recognizing like that's just kind of a hardware though. Like
mhm,
there is something very alive, that very energetic,
mhm.
that is animating that body.
Exactly.
So it's like it's not separate from, and
Mhm,
yes, we can get really into how our body looks,
mhm,
how it functions,
mhm,
but you're also looking at like how the energy of that is animating the body to function that way and to get yourself into whatever shape you desire or goals that you have. Maybe you're an athlete or wanting to do a marathon. It's
mhm.
so curious that as somebody that likes massage and body therapies, like you have to learn the nuts and the bolts and the meat and the movers and all of that, which is fascinating.
Mhm.
I'm constantly amazed by physiology and how things all work together and certain hormones and what happens in pregnancy and just how intelligent the body is. It's
Right.
fascinating.
Yeah.
It's just beyond fascinating, but it's not doing it because it's just sitting there
It's
lifeless.
it's not mechanical.
No.
I mean, I think, with the age of science and reason and information and technology and our abilities now to take the body apart and look at it, like we really are improving our understanding of its miraculous mysteriousness. And we can never, ever find or harness or grasp or intellectualize the thing that makes it alive and that makes it all work together in such synchrony. Because really, I mean, yes, it's molecules, but molecules are mostly space. So it's still just such a mystery. And to sort of try to analyze that or detach from the body so that we can objectify it in order to manipulate it, whether that's, a knee replacement or, Botox or, weightlifting, or which I don't have any judgment against any of those things, but that it's so much more than an objectifiable, manipulatable thing that we own or thing that we have. Like one thing I love about the concept of body as soma is it reveals that this is what we are.
Mm.
Like try getting out of this. You can get out of this, but you will no longer be having a human experience. So if you're going to have a human experience, the only way to do it is well, I mean, you can do it not realizing you're a body. You can do it sort of, from your head, intellectualizing and thinking and going around through your life like a detached talking head, that's detached from your lived bodily experience. But your body's still here.
Yeah.
Your attention's just not turned towards it.
And I'm curious how you might describe somebody that's living here. What might that,
Mm.
what does that look like? What might they be experiencing or their personality traits or just qualities about them? Would you say that there's a, like, oh, very identifiable things or it's going to be unique for everybody?
Well, I can speak for myself because I've been that person, right? So, um, wow, I have lots of thoughts, but for one, thinking produces stress, produces tension. So I feel like the times that I've lived that way, I'm unconsciously invoking a lot of tension in my body or putting a lot of pressure on my body, driving my body like it's a car. Um, Always projecting outside of myself and outside of my own experience. So it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel restful and juicy and settled like for me embodied living does. Yeah. I think we could call it a little bit of that type A personality, perhaps.
That's probably a little dash in there for sure. Yeah. I know, and I feel like I'm living in the square box above my shoulders. I always end up hurting myself. I end up stubbing my toe or hitting my funny bone really hard, or just, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to say they're silly mistakes because I don't feel that I'm a very clumsy person. I feel like proprioception is pretty good. I'm aware of my body in space, and the speed in which my body is moving. And I find that it's taken me a while, but slowed down substantially in my pace,
Yes.
in my movements.
Mhm.
And it's like the moment I get up here above the shoulders, it's like I'm getting these little reminders that, like, hey, where are you in space and time right now? Are you here? Because I know you are, but I don't think you know that you are.
Right. Such a good description of it.
And like the skin, like these borders and boundaries that are constantly like sensing and perceiving and letting us know information is beautiful, because it's like our little safety net. It's like, yep, you stubbed your toe. That's because you think your leg's like way out there. You're not realizing where the wall in your house is.
Or your head's way out there and you're not realizing your body is here.
Or how hot that curling iron is as you're putting that last curl in your hair and you're thinking about what you need to do today. Like,
But too close. Yeah. I
yeah,
do find myself rushing when I'm
yeah.
not bodied. Yeah. And when I feel bodied, I find myself in a flow where things seem to get done with ease and there's not a stress of pressure.
Mm.
Because the body, like you said, it is so intelligent. And I feel like when I relax into somatic living, the soma is set free to do what it knows to do.
Mm. That reminds me of Marma's, just like this flowing energy that like expands out and all the way through the body, like networks that just enlivens.
Can you say more about marmas for our audience who may not know?
Yeah. So marmas are very similar to acupuncture, acupressure points, which people are more commonly familiar with. That comes from traditional Chinese medicine. The marmas come, or marmani, come from the Ayurvedic philosophy and understanding. And it's, like I said, very similar. So we're talking about these energy lines that kind of can go through the body. They lay over the template of the physical body. And one of my teachers described them, and I love this description, like they're mini minds, like right on the skin. And so you can utilize these mini minds that are right here on the skin or kind of in different locations in the body, for healing purposes and for balancing purposes and harmonizing purposes. Um,
So amazing.
yeah, all these little mini minds, how you can
Right.
affect your consciousness and your healing. And
Mhm.
um, I find coming back into the body after hard experiences or traumas, it's a way to like tenderly treat the body so it can feel like home again.
Mhm. Yeah, I remember last year going through a really hard experience, and you had told me about marmas, and I was already doing Abhyanga quite a lot, but I think I'd been on a break for a little bit. And the first time I did Abhyanga during this hard experience, like all I did was, I think I touched my arm and, with the long strokes of Abhyanga and immediately burst into tears.
Yes.
uh,
Oh, yes, yes. The morning obby sessions when there is tears. I've had plenty of those. It's such a profound healing therapy that I think touches right to the heart of being an embodied, like living, breathing person.
mhm.
Um, and I feel like this is the perfect time for my juicy quote about the body that I just love.
Bring it.
This is a quote that I was given to me from a teacher in my massage therapy program. So the woman that wrote this, her name is Tracy Walton, and it's from The Health History of a Human Being.
Mm.
She says, By touching a body, we touch every event it has experienced. For a few brief moments, we hold all of a client's story in our hands. We witness someone's experience of their own flesh through some of the most powerful means possible, the contact of our hands, the acceptance of the body without judgment, and the occasional listening ear. With these gestures, we reach across the isolation of the human experience and hold another person's legend. In massage, we show up and ask in so many ways, what is it like to be another human being? In doing so, we build a bridge that may heal us both.
Hmm. You
It
know,
is. It's a legend.
yeah. And the whole story is in the body. Like, where else could it be? The whole of the human experience, that human's experience is right here in their body. And in my body and in your body.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the things I feel most passionate about these days is that we not be quite so adamant about parsing out body from mind from spirit. You know, I think we've done that in lots of different fields as a way to study and talk about the different kinds of experiences we have. But try locating your mind or your spirit if it's not in your body, if it's not housed right here. And I don't mean, again, like that objectified slab of flesh on the table, but the soma. There is no mental or spiritual or intellectual or enlightened experience you can have that leaves your body behind. Not if you're still being a human.
Yeah.
So it just feels so much more integrated to me. There's a Nietzsche, this philosopher from a long time ago, really tried to stamp out those words like ego and spirit and body and mind because of the way they sort of split us and divide us against ourselves. And he really wanted to, got two more people to admit. Welcome. Welcome. Please mute yourself. Okay, so we're just right in the middle of our talk. And uh, welcome. I'm sorry if I didn't see you sooner to admit you. Yeah, so Nietzsche felt like what we should say instead is just man or human, like to point to the wholeness and stop parsing out the body as something separate from the mind or the spirit. And then Heidegger, another philosopher, he said that he really called it the creature whose being is here.
Oh, wow. Creature whose being is here. I love that. I love that. Mm.
And that shift in perspective to really come home, to be in my body for my experience, for the experience it's having, is so rich.
Rich how? Can you say more about that richness?
Well, I notice all the perceptions coming through my senses. So there's lots more attention turned to the capacity for delight and presence. Presence itself, you know, the aliveness of presence feels quite delightful. I also feel like I am more in tune with what we might call intuition or knowing, because all of that perception is coming through the body versus giving the lead to my default network, thinking, talking box, right?
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, it's like it's like the world is in black and gray and all of a sudden it's in color.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, that taste or that smell. And even if it might not be your preference, like it could be the most rotten smell, but it takes you and you notice it. It is right there. Like you cannot help but have that experience of that rotten smell. It is that profound in the space of the body to be permeated and experienced.
And it's like color, but it's also like 3D, you
We're
know?
really we're really amping it up.
Yeah,
It's just like so
yeah.
dimensional.
Dimensional, yeah, depth
Yeah.
and texture. Like I'm simultaneously aware of um, my deep inner felt sense and my skin and the bird and the lights. You know, it's like just so
Yeah.
vibrant.
Shall we play a little bit with that vibrance?
Go for it.
I'd
Let's.
love to dip us into a short journey through the senses just to become embodied if we're not already. I certainly am after your opening little welcome home. That was juicy. So,
Hmm.
just like you said in the initial part, if you want to keep the eyes open, feel free to. You can have the gaze be soft, or if it feels nice to close the eyes, absolutely let the eyes close. Really welcome that pulsation of life. Feel the breath, and as you exhale, the settling in the body. Feeling the lower lands of the body, the legs and the feet. Middle lands of the body, sensation of the front and back of the torso. The shoulders, the arms, the hands. As you feel the upper lands of the body, sensing neck, the head, and the face. And let attention rest here on the face as we welcome the outer environment to be just as it is. Welcoming this sense of sound and hearing, all outer sounds. Farthest from the body, the very edges of awareness, can you sense the sounds? Maybe the sounds in your space, inner sounds of the body or the breath. Just feeling the ears open and receiving. Sound is vibration. Letting attention free to the outermost boundaries and borders of the skin. Feeling the air, the temperature, the sense of touch, the surfaces that are supporting your body, the weight and textures of your clothing. Feel this skin from head to toes. You might even see in the mind's eye the image of your body, the shape and the outline, the curves, the valleys, the hollow spaces. Any other visual impressions coming into the mind's eye here? As you feel into the tip of the tongue, notice your taste, feeling of the mouth. There's moisture or dryness. It's quality of taste. Might be near dinner time, so you might welcome in a taste that you enjoy. Maybe imagining your favorite food or warm beverage. And finally, as you welcome the flow of breath through the nose, welcome any fragrance or smell that you can perceive or the absence of. Might just have more of a neutral tone. All the smells, all the tastes and sight, the feeling of touch, the whole body, the skin and the sounds, all the senses open. And you, this witnessing presence, this beautiful body, is constantly perceiving, welcoming, and digesting these sensory impressions. Might take a few couple of breaths as you let the eyes softly open if they're closed. Just so enjoy the senses.
I
Oh,
know you do. I do
saying
too.
it can be such a gateway to delight.
Hmm. It is. Yeah. You know what that meditation reminded me of is how much I love the mystery that sound is sensation,
Yes.
right? Like
Oh, it's
when we open as just a perceiving soma, everything is sensation. Everything is being, like you said, digested and transformed into consciousness and intelligence. And I think then we get, sorry. I have 3 screens open, and so one of them was bound to ring if I got a call. um, I don't remember what I was saying, but that's okay. Yeah.
we're talking about the sound as vibration, and you can really feel that soma is.
Yeah, and that it's all being transformed into, or actually maybe we're being more returned to our instinctual intelligence and aliveness.
I think so.
The animal body.
I
That's
think so.
brilliant and intelligent.
Yeah, and I think because sometimes, in some of the readings or how it might be talked about as like kind of a primal body or, kind of more that, like you said, animal, that it's something somehow lesser than or not intelligent as, and I think it's almost the opposite. It's like before the story and the personality and
Mhm.
all that get in the way, there's just this pure functioning that is so brilliant.
Mhm. And it knows its own alignment. And it
Mhm.
has no problem with its own beingness. There's no comparison, no striving, no needing to fix or change, right? It's just pure being itself. And there's such beauty and freedom in that.
So I kind of feel like as we're coming toward a close, I'd love to ask this question because the way we're talking about the body right now, we're both smiling and it feels good. And if you sat down and talked to me 10 years ago, I might have not have had this conversation or definitely not felt the same way. And so my question I would like to ask you is, I wasn't taught this as a young child. So if you had any advice for, any young person young being.
Mm.
Maybe they're about 7 or 8 years old. What kind of like wisdom would you like to impart on them about soma or body?
You know, I think these concepts at that age are so remote and not the things that land, but the thing they do understand is play. So I think I would want to say, make sure you keep playing like your
No.
whole life. Play, play. And you're going to have to do other stuff too, right? Because you're going to grow up and become an adult, and you have a responsibility to the community as an adult. And but keep playing, because I feel like playing is the place we really get back in touch
Mhm.
with the animal body. What about you?
That's sweet. I feel mine's now slightly stern. I would whisper into my 7, 8-year-old self. I was a gymnast at the time, so I think this is maybe where it's coming from, is like, this is the most precious gift. So at that age, it'd be like, this is the most sacred My Little Pony you ever wanted. Like, care for it. Like, it's a special jewel, like kind of trying to impart some understanding of sacredness, or like just how beautiful and intelligent and resilient and fragile, how it's this, I don't even want to say thing because that just feels weird to say. It's just such a living, breathing part of you that needs to be cared for so tenderly. So in some way to impart self-care, I guess, even now.
I'm also hearing self-love,
Yeah. Yeah.
the love of it and for it.
Yeah.
So we are like wrapping up.
I know.
And so I want to, just leave our audience with one more question slash thought to take them forward into their reflection about what's up with this body?
Yeah.
How do I see it? What is it? How do I live in it or not? Um, so just to take home, you might fill in this phrase, my body is blank. Fill in the blank. How would you do that? Fill that in today.
I think it goes along with what I was telling my 8-year-old, is my body's sacred. Like there's just something so
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're in love with it. It's so sacred.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be separate from.
Mm-hmm.
Like befriend it. Like it's my best friend. It's
I've heard you
sacred.
say that. My body's my best friend.
Is that what you were gonna say?
No, I've heard you say that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
My body's my best friend. Yeah.
What about you?
Mine really has to do with like, and I totally agree with everything you said, and my body's my ally, that comes up a lot. But my body is my only way to have a human experience.
Mm-mm.
And I want to have the full human experience. So I'm just super grateful that I have my body, or that I am my body, that allows me to have this amazing, wild human experience.
Mm. And if you want to share with us what your thoughts or feedback is about that, definitely reach out to us. We'd love to hear that feedback from you guys that are listening too. My body is.
Yeah. In fact,
Yeah.
maybe we'll post about it on Instagram tomorrow, and you can put something in the comments.
Yes, I'll do that.
What
Absolutely.
it is. Yeah.
So in our last minute, do we have any announcements?
Oh, we have a major fun announcement. The one I'm
Yeah.
thinking of is Poetry and Tea in December. And
Yes. So just this format.
the same format, December 20th, same time. So it's right before the holidays, right before winter solstice. So it's perfect time to like chill, carve out an hour, pour your favorite cup of tea, find the comfiest chair by a fire maybe, or with your blanket, and just relax while Denie, Shae, and I offer a live poetry reading.
I love being read too. It's the most like sweetest thing. I just love it.
Yeah. So anything else that I'm forgetting?
I think that's it for now.
So thank you to those of you who joined us live, and it
Yes,
will be a
thank you.
recording as well.
So there will be links to follow.
Yes. And have a beautiful weekend, everybody.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.